That's we are. Hope you're ready for some Void Rays, mate. Void Rays,
Void Rays and Queens.
Yeah. Oh,
that's the name of the game.
That's the thing. Like, again, I don't know how much Crimson has been practicing this matchup. Like, what the hell does he have in store for us, mate?
True. And he obviously has his own quirky styles of going about things, but we are about to find out here on 2000's Atmosphere LE. We're in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have the green Protoss player coming down from the land of Pakistan. He is going to be representing himself, to my knowledge, as he is currently teamless. We have ZAiN.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the New Zealand Zerg player representing Team Mindfreak. It is a Crimson. Also, mate, did you see the chat?
I'm liking this in chat.
Yeah.
I just did, yeah.
Yo. Congratulations, Raza, mate. He is now, I mean, apparently he's been married for a while, but now it's like official in a way. They had their ceremony. Mate, congratulations, Razorblade, Raza.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's now, we don't have to keep that in NDA anymore. It's now all the way official. But also RIP, I suppose. Congrats, but also RIP on the marriage.
What?
Forced out to compete. Because he said he couldn't. Because he said he couldn't compete today because he was getting married. So
look, if there's ever a reason not to compete,
it's a bittersweet feeling, you know.
Wait, if there's ever a reason not to compete, it's getting married. All right, like what are you on about? Take note, Revenant. Next time you show up in the chat and there's a tournament going on and you don't sign up, I want to see a ring on Bliss' finger. Okay, like mate, what's going on?
Yup, you realize what you're doing. You're making him like marry and divorce every single time. And needs to go to like different courts to do it every time.
Look, I'm just hearing a lack of commitment from Revenant, okay? That's all I'm hearing. Oh god. Hashtag Bliss deserves better. Anyway. Oh,
make him an honest man already.
Lock him down, man. Jesus Christ. All right, here we go. We are getting into this PvZ, and I mean, surprise, surprise, ZAiN is opening up with the Stargate.
Who would have expected that? But to be fair, I guess my eyes are a little bit more on Crimson here. As you were saying earlier on, he hasn't been playing, publicly anyway, he hasn't played too many ZVPs, so he hasn't really been able to show us how he plays. Is he somebody who's completely caught up and does like to play more towards the meta, or does he have his own style?
That's the big question, right? I think I have seen Crimson go for queen pushes in the past, so we may see that. I could be thinking of Mighty Kiwi. It was one or the other.
Yeah, Mighty Kiwi played. I remember Mighty Kiwi played a lot of CVPs, particularly against Probe recently.
True, there were a lot of 12 fools though. That's the big difference between between Crimson and Mighty Kiwi there. As so far, Crimson is playing this pretty straight up. You know, we got plenty of queens on the way. He's got his third on the way as well. Meanwhile, he did dive in, or he's diving in now to check what the opening is, and he will spot said Stargate.
There we go. Confirms the Oracle as well, so should be setting up defensively back at home. Or he will when the Overlord gets in position. He will when the Overlord gets in position.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will go down, but we'll be able to scout.
He also sees an Oracle is the follow-up from this Void Ray, so there we go. Crimson, he throws down the spores. He is not stopping the queen production either, so he should be fine against these initial Stargate units. His third is looking a little bit exposed, but again, I'm sure the queens are going to show up there any moment now. Yep, there they go. He's just continuing to drone out.
Right on command.
Beautiful.
Always love it when it pans out that way. Crimson being very active on the map right now, despite the Void Rays. If you can't get map vision from the sky, then might as well get map vision from the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Lings are out here. Unfortunately, Crimson hasn't spotted the third. He checked the left-hand base, but there was nothing there. Finally, he does confirm the third base here towards the right. The triangular third, and ooh, ZAiN is going full Protoss, mate. Look at this.
Ooh. I definitely appreciate the commitment. Getting Forge as well, but aside from shields, that should only be for cannons.
Yeah, so he's going to be committing to these Void Rays, committing to +1 air attack, going for this Forge. I like it if he does decide to go for like +1 and charge to help support his Sky Toss. That's like the big question for me, is that different Protoss players have different ways to kind of like supplement their air army. Some like going for Disruptors, other High Templar, others Zealots. Like, you know, what kind of Protoss player is ZAiN?
Well, so far all signs are pointing towards disruptive play as Crimson gets ready for anti-air of his own. +1 range is on the way, the lair is about to finish up, and we should be seeing a Hydra then get thrown down, but...
Yeah, I imagine so, especially because +1 range is on the way, right? Like, that's a big tell that it should be Hydras. I wouldn't be opposed to Corruptors and Spire play either. Meanwhile, the Lings, they do get cleaned up, didn't get into the main base, and there is a third Stargate. Oh god.
There's that Spire! You'll love to see it.
Beautiful, mate.
And Crimson's actually committing a little bit to the Roaches as well, so it's going to be Sky Roach. Bit of an interesting composition against Sky Toss like this, but
yeah,
we'll see if he's able to pull it off.
I'm not feeling the Roach play, not gonna lie. Again, it's possible because Crimson hasn't gotten into the main base in a while. He doesn't really know what else is out there for ZAiN. It could be Chargeless, right? For all he knows. He doesn't realize that we have a Fleet Beacon on the way. And there it is. I was like, what was the roadmap for? He hasn't done anything with it. Finally, Robotic Spay, you're right. He wants to get into those Disruptors.
Exactly what you want against Roaches as well. So I'm really starting to sweat a little bit for Crimson here. I'm not entirely convinced that his army is going to be able to trade well against ZAiN's. But to be fair, ZAiN still has quite some time before he gets to his end game. Crimson is already making his way there.
Yeah, and thankfully Crimson, he morphs in an Overseer, he gets into the main base, he sees all the production, he sees the Twilight Council, he even spots a Robotic Spay, so now he knows exactly what he's up against. But how does he respond? That is my question.
Well, we see an immediate switch into getting a Baneling Nest out. Still hasn't really utilized the Spire just yet. I'm so curious as to whether he commits to Mutas or if he decides to get Corruptus first, but he is getting a pretty massive force of Mutas out right now.
Yeah. I worry because 13 Mutas are great, but like, look at all these Void Rays. Thankfully, there's no Flux Veins. There's no Void Ray speed, so the Mutas can avoid these Void Rays and dive into Mineral Lines. So there's potential for them to deal damage.
Yeah, the main and natural Mineral Lines are also looking very, very vulnerable. It's only the fringe bases that do have those shield batteries on them. And a couple of cannons as well.
Exactly, so the Mutas are moving out. It looks like they're going to hit this red-hand base. They're going to see the Stack Defense. Maybe he'll commit and go straight into the main from here, and it looks like he will, but he's going to run into the Void Rays. Oh no.
Yeah, start to pin him into the dead air. The Mutas get a little bit distracted here on some of the probes. And Crimson is forced to retreat. Thankfully, as you said, because there's no Flux Veins, ZAiN can't quite chase down all these Mutas and take them out, but there goes the element of surprise for Crimson, I suppose.
Yeah, and the Mutas haven't really done much, to be honest. We do have more Mutas on the way, which is great, but again, he just needs to find some value with them. I do like that he is switching eventually into these Corruptors, but I'm worried just because, I mean, Carrier, like, production has already started. We see switching to Phoenixes, which part of me feels is unnecessary, but again, ZAiN, he just wants to make sure he's on top of those Mutas.
Yeah, whatever he can do to really keep his Mineral Lines alive and what have you. Should be seeing some. There we go. Flux Veins is on the way. Kind of thought he was get Graviton, Aeon Pulse Crystals first, but Flux Veins is definitely a lot more versatile for the time being.
It is. It definitely is. Especially because Void Rays, they're decent against Mutas and they're amazing against Corruptors. Which is definitely what ZAiN has to be ready for. Meanwhile, a lot of Banelings are being morphed in. You know, again, it looks like this base is going to be under threat shortly. At the same time, these Mutas have to draw away the attention of ZAiN to another area. But, god, ZAiN is already here.
Yeah, not quite convinced the Banelings are going to be able to break through. If they can all connect on that Nexus, should be just enough to take it out, but will they is a big question.
Oh god, that is the big question. Meanwhile, it looks like the Zerg army is trying to collapse upon the Protoss here, but the Void Rays, they stand strong.
Yeah, pretty massive miscalculation here from Crimson. The Banelings are able to break through, but the Sky Army is in shambles right now for Crimson as ZAiN stands strong.
Jesus Christ, the Void Rays, they just don't stop. All the queens went down, the buffer on the ground went down as well. And the thing is, it's not just Void Rays. I mean, there are Phoenixes here as well, carriers, more importantly, Archons on the ground.
Yeah, and they are getting a couple of volleys off on top of those Corruptors. They don't even need to because the Void Rays are dealing that much damage to them.
Exactly. Meanwhile, we have a big wave of Lings here to help support the Corruptors, so maybe they can get a nice round. Maybe they can deal with the Stalkers and the Archons. They're diving on forward. Ooh, even catches the carrier.
Ooh. Yeah, doing a really good job of picking off these reinforcements as they make their way down. The Corruptors trying to come in from the back. I'm not convinced it's going to be enough. Look at a prismatic alignment decimate the Corruptors. And Crimson just lost his entire army. GG is called. ZAiN takes game number 1.
GG, and that's what happens when you invest so much gas into, what was that, 20 mutas, and to have them not really accomplish much. Oof.
Yeah, it would have been a completely different scenario if those mutas were able to seek into maybe that main or the natural base where they were looking, the probes were looking mighty vulnerable, and if he took those out, there was no way ZAiN would have an economy that could get him flux veins on those Void Rays, or enough Phoenixes to deal with the eventual mutas coming out, or even get carriers eventually. But once he lost that element of surprise, ZAiN just knew what he needed to defend against, and that was it.
Oh boy. It was just so unfortunate because Crimson, he didn't know like which base to hit, you know, like he didn't know where the side defense was and where it was and where it was ideal to go, so it was unfortunate that he kind of rolled the dice, went to the fresh base, and that's where the Void Rays were, you know. That's where the cannons were, that's where the shield batteries were. It's like, feels bad, man.
Really does. Just look at a draw, as you say sometimes. But I guess that was a pretty good indication of how Crimson likes to play out ZVPs. Again, just not a lot of public matches that we've been able to see for Crimson in this particular matchup. We know him a lot for ZVZ, not so much for ZVP.
Exactly. Oh boy, and now we're getting set up for game number 2. Again, this is still a best of 3, not a best of 5, so this could be the last game here. Crimson, he has this opportunity to try and fight back. His scouting was on point, right? He saw a lot of what he was up against, but the execution just wasn't quite there. And it's one of those things where, again, Crimson, he's a returning player. Does he have much experience with this? Does he enjoy this? I know there's a lot of Zerg players who just straight up struggle against Skytoss.
Yeah. This is where he surprises everyone and just goes for a 1-1 Queen Roach timing. Well, I say surprise everyone. That's within. That's meta right now for CVP. But it's surprising because Crimson doesn't play. Because Crimson isn't completely caught up with the meta.
Yeah, I could pull like a Solar and just go for like a big Hydra all in. You know, like there are possibilities. There are different options here for Crimson with how he wants to try and end this. But here we go. We're loading in game 2. Jagannatha, mate.
Definitely a lot of opportunity here for both Skytoss and SkyZerg. I feel like it's going to be a little bit trickier for Crimson here if he does decide to go for the same Corrupted Muta style. So
yeah,
maybe we'll see something a little different.
Oh boy. We'll see. As we're loading in again, like I'm cheering for Crimson. I hope he at least makes the series out of it. I just feel like ZAiN is kind of the final boss here in the upper half of the bracket. Oh boy, but we'll see if he can be stopped.
That we shall hear on Jagannatha LE, where in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the green Protoss player coming down for the land of Pakistan. He is going to be representing himself, as to my knowledge, he is currently teamless, and he only needs one more to make it into that qualifying match, facing another Zerg player in Peppy. Can he do it? Let's find out. We have ZAiN. Razorblade brother, I should also add.
Raza's brother, mate. Raza. He actually changed his ID.
Mate Raza. Oh.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
And yeah, spawning in the top right hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the New Zealand Zerg player. He is red, representing Team Mindfreak. Can he do it? Can he bring it back in this best of 3 series? It is Crimson.
Oh boy. I like it though. Raza joining the ranks of Eric and having their actual name be their ID.
Yeah. You know, is it creative? Not really, but with a name like Raza,
but
like,
it's honest, you know. Yeah, and also it's honest, you know.
Yeah, sure. I guess. Funada Paco Mike in the chat.
Whose name is IRL name is neither Paco nor Mike.
Yeah, it's goddamn Francesco, mate. Like God.
My hate.
And Francesco is a pretty cool name as well. Like I would be got that Latin flair going on, you know. God damn it.
So much branding opportunity with that.
There is. So yeah, it's it's not it is ideal of what I would say, because again we do call Razorblade by his name Raza quite often anyway, so yeah, it's fitting. Yeah. It's fitting.
Might as well at that point.
Meanwhile, the game is slowly getting underway here, and no big tells here. I mean, there's no reason for ZAiN not to open up with the Stargate, right? Like, yeah.
So you get a double.
Yeah. Oh god.
But is it going to be another Void Ray into Oracle? Is it going to be double Oracle, triple Oracle? Plenty of options you have when you go for the Stargate opening like this.
Mate, don't get my hopes up. Like, if we were casting Pez, like triple Oracle, let's go. But I don't know if ZAiN is as bodacious as that. Unfortunately, but we'll see. I want to be surprised here. I want to be proven wrong.
Yeah, it is working out pretty well for him, regardless. And yeah, I'm just wondering how Crimson would also react to that. Again, still not completely caught up to the Void Ray meta, but definitely not. And I don't believe Crimson was that active back when Triple Oracle was the thing either.
Not really. Yeah, I don't think so. Ken Crimson, it's been years since he was in his prime. It's been what, like 3 years, I believe. I can't believe it's been so long already. How time flies. But we'll see how he does here. It does feel like he did have a decent understanding of how to go up against Void Ray play, right? Like he was working on his corruptors, he was working on his queens. Yeah, like the pieces were there.
It was just the execution that was lacking, I suppose. Yes, I mean, the execution was on its way too. It just felt like there was a nail in place, but the hammer wouldn't hammer it down.
So you gonna say like the hammer wouldn't fit, and I'm like, what?
The hammer wouldn't fit, yeah. There was a screw in place, but it was a Phillips head screw. No, wait, that is a good analogy because he had what he needed.
God damn it. Meanwhile, nice
anyway,
run by. He's gonna be able to take out the Adept, takes out a probe, he's gonna deal some damage here.
Yeah, it does. Cancel that just at the last second. I think it's a little bit of refund. We'll keep that base alive for now, but Crimson gets some very good information. He knows just how vulnerable that third base is now.
Definitely. Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, the Oracle dips in, dips out. Thankfully, there was a Spore in position, but where are the Queens? Forcing some lost mining time. And once again, it's almost like I'm casting Starduck here, because we have another Stargate and +1 air attack is on the way.
And we thought Starduck was on the other side of this bracket.
Oh god, what would happen if ZAiN and Starduck collide, mate? That's what I want to know.
I don't think the universe is ready for that.
Jesus. Oh god. Meanwhile, we do have a big surprise. The Void Rays are on the way. There's the Forge. ZAiN, he's playing this out just like game number 1. So now my eyes are on Crimson. How he's gonna change things? Oh, mate, he's going for a queen push.
Yeah, being very active right now, spraying the creep wherever he can, and just getting those queens in position, ready to make it to that third base.
Ooh, and
ZAiN is not quite aware of it yet.
Yeah, I think the roaches may have been spotted, but like there's barely any defensive structures here. What's important as well, because ZAiN is so greedy with how he techs up, there's no disruptor, there are no zealots, there are only Void Rays to defend.
And that is not quite gonna cut it. He's trying to wall off somewhat here by the third base ramp. But there's still plenty of open space here for Crimson to maneuver around. The queens are starting to get in position.
Oh, that they are. They finally do get spotted here by ZAiN. He's completely walling off over on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, the Ravagers are here to break into the natural base. Ooh, could even deny +1.
He really could if he takes out that pylon. It's getting low, and it will go down.
Ooh.
+1 is completely denied, and plenty of production gets shut off as well.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the Lings do bust in. They're going straight for the main base. Meanwhile, the Queens, they have plenty of energy for transfuse. They're pushing through the Void Rays. Mate, the shield batteries were not ready.
That they were not. There's only one in position right now. Forced to use the battery overcharge on it, but it is so far in the back. It is not helping out as much as it could.
Mate, where are the transfuses, Crimson? You gotta keep your boys alive. There we go. The transfuses are on point. The bios are connecting with the Void Rays as well.
But the energy in the Queens is starting to run out, and the Queens are getting taken out. 26 probes have gone down so far, though. Even if ZAiN holds here, I'm not entirely convinced he can recover.
Exactly. All the drones in the main base have gone down. Lings are flooding into the natural base as well. The economy of ZAiN is in shambles. ZAiN, he holds, but again, he sustained a lot of losses. Now he has to counterattack. He has to go across the map.
And there's a bit of an opportunity for him to do so. Again, the Queens were taken out earlier on, so there's not going to be a lot of anti-air left for Crimson. Crimson, meanwhile, though, is making Zerglings. He knows they're not going to be too useful in the defense. Sends them around to just really make sure ZAiN is crippled.
Yeah, exactly. The Lings show up once again. Sure, though, there is a wall here at the natural base. Oh, no, there wasn't a wall! Oh, no.
Not quite. The Zealot was not in hold position. And the Lings are going to completely decimate ZAiN's economy. These Void Rays are going to be able to do quite a bit, honestly, but nowhere near quick enough.
I mean, this third base is going to go down. Unfortunately, Crimson underestimated the power of these Void Rays. He only had one spore in each base. Mate, you need 2, you need 3. All the Queens are going down. They did not have enough energy for transfuse, and now things are starting to snowball. But at the same time, Lings are wreaking havoc in the main base of ZAiN.
And they are. There's 0 production left right now for ZAiN. He cannot produce out of those Stargates. If this goes down to a base trade, I am going to be very surprised.
That's essentially what we have here. The spores, they're not done. ZAiN, he's going to jump on them before they finish up. Aye. But the Lings are across the map. ZAiN, he always has the opportunity to recall if he needs to.
He really does, but he wants to do a little bit more damage before that happens. A couple of spores do finish up. And they are really digging into the Void Ray count.
Mate, that is huge. Now that the spores are finishing, the main is safe. The natural is relatively safe as well. And the Lings, they're gonna kill the third. They're killing everything at home.
Yeah, finally the recall is utilized. But it feels just a little bit too late.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Lings flood in once again. Oh no, they run away. I do think they could have dealt a little bit more damage there. There we go. He turns back around. Maybe a little bit of a null army hockey there by accident, but it's not the biggest of deals. Again, there's just not much left here for ZAiN. The Void Rays are finally being dealt with. Hydras are coming out.
GG is called, and Crimson does take it to the ace match.
Wow.
A very different approach to the Void Rays this game. An approach that I very much appreciate.
Yeah.
It's a lot more effective.
Definitely. I mean, well played, Crimson there. He doesn't take the series, but he fights back. And I was worried that this was going to be a one-sided series. It was going to be 2-0, but Crimson showing all of us that, mate, he still got it. He can still go for something at least along the lines of, you know, a Hydra. Sorry, a Queen all-in.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe the next... when we get to the ace match, the next step of his evolution is a Queen Hydra all-in.
It's possible.
Page off of Solar.
Oh god, exactly. Good.
In between games, he's just studying solo replays. Like, I need to cram in as much information in the next 2 minutes before the lobby gets made.
Meanwhile, there are some people asking in the chat. Yes, for those wondering, because Raza was in the bracket earlier, he did forfeit against ZAiN because he had a wedding to attend to. Not just any wedding, his own wedding.
Mate.
Congratulations, Raza. He did get married. Oh, God. And unfortunately, that meant that he couldn't compete today. But, you know, ZAiN, his brother, is here kind of representing him as best he can.
Yeah. Repping the family. We'll see if he's able to take it all the way to that qualifying match. Again, Peppy has been waiting for quite some time in the qualifying match that is going to be a best of 5, but will it be a best of 5 ZVZ or ZVP?
Ooh, that is the question. That is the question. Meanwhile, I'm just going to quickly refresh to see if the lower qualifying match is ready for us. It looks like not quite yet. Okay, so we still have time.
Ooh, yeah. Ideally, we want to jump on both of those, but we do have to make a decision. But regardless, we are concluding this pre-qualifying match here on Oxide LE, where in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the green Protoss player coming down from the land of Pakistan. He is going to be representing, I have been saying he's been representing himself, but in this case, I suppose he is representing the family, representing Raza. He is ZAiN.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the New Zealand Zerg player. He is red, representing Team Mindfreak, fighting back in game number 2 and forcing the ace match. It is Crimson.
And we've been watching him throughout this entire series, just how he continued to evolve in his approach against these Void Ray openings from Protoss. What's the final stage in the ace match?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a real possibility here that Crimson takes out ZAiN. Like, that's like coming into today's bracket and looking at it, like, I'm like, man, that's crazy. But he has shown us that, like, ZAiN has some weaknesses. He can be too greedy. He can give up and forego scouting information and just kind of go for the same thing two games in a row and be taken advantage of. So we'll see if ZAiN can react a little bit better here in game number 3.
I'm staring directly at that production tab. The Cybercore is halfway done, and once it completes, a tech choice has to be made. It's going to be another Stargate.
I mean, I assume so. Like, there was nothing wrong with going Void Rays last game. It was just ZAiN didn't realize there was a Queen all-in coming until it was too late, until it was in his face. Because that he wasn't set up defensively. There were no shield batteries, there were no cannons. There was, at the third, there was one shield battery ready for an overcharge, and one is just not enough.
Yeah, not only was it only one, it was one that was pretty far back from the front line. He was walling off his ramp, to be fair, but Crimson just came in from a different location. Life hacks.
Exactly. Just came in from another angle, mate. Oh boy. Meanwhile, we do have that Stargate opening once again from ZAiN. Again, so everything is pretty standard so far. I imagine he's gonna make a Void Ray. I imagine an Oracle after that. But my eyes are on Crimson. You know, we saw 2 different builds from him this series so far. What does he do in game 3?
Well, we're about to find out. As the Stargate finishes up. 50-50 shot, is it going to be a Void Ray? It is not going to be a Void Ray first!
Oh.
I'm so excited, like, how many oracles?
Oh god, he's crazy. How you know what, you're right, how many oracles? We have a second gateway being thrown down. Like, are we gonna see a different ZAiN? Here's the question. 2 adepts do shade into the main base. Only slow links to deal with them. Drones are falling.
Very good target firing so far from the side of ZAiN. 6 drones go down, and a hell of a lot more are going to follow with double Oracle on the way. Or it's at least going to be double Oracle.
Yeah, there we go. The second Oracle is coming out across the map. Again, a very different style from ZAiN, and I don't think Crimson was really expecting it. Meanwhile, the first Oracle shows up. The Spore isn't ready yet. There are 2 Queens in position, though. Oh, he doesn't care.
They are... Yeah, I was going to say they're going to be able to chase it away, but not before it gets 3 more drones.
Meanwhile, at the same time... Yeah, Lings, they rush across the map. They will be able to focus down one of the pylons, could even get this Adept, but the second Oracle comes out just in time to push away these Lings.
Yeah, it doesn't quite get the delay on that third base, but it does get into the natural base! And get a really good scout off.
Yeah, he's gonna get a couple of worker kills. As you said, he's gonna scout everything here in the main. And more Lings, 16 Lings are gonna be flooding across the map, looking to hit this third.
Finally, he'll get that delay.
Yeah, Crimson really turning on the aggression here, and there's no pylon, there's no shield battery. Like, sure, these Adepts can get in a really good position, but mate, here come the Lings.
Yeah, they did. The Oracles are also about out of energy here. They can take out a couple more Zerglings, but that's about it. Crimson actually goes for the throat!
Oh, he's going for the natural base. There's no shield battery behind this, so the Adept will go down. Meanwhile, the other Lings do hit the third. Again, good positioning, though, on these Adepts. I don't think these Lings should deal too much damage. They do kill the Adept here at the natural, though. Both.
Yeah, and ZAiN is able to wall that off, but there's nothing really stopping these Lings from chipping away at the buildings. Aside from the Oracles, now that they've dealt with the threat by the third base.
Exactly. Meanwhile, there we go. A very different response. I don't know if this is intentional, but he's going for a second forge.
Well, double upgrades. Why not?
Yeah, sure. There we go. He cancels the second forge. He's like, yo, right, I threw it down earlier, of course. There it is. +1 is on the way. He's going to be switching things up entirely here. I love it. ZAiN showing his versatility.
Yeah. See what type of ground-based Protoss player ZAiN really is. If he eventually goes into that Templar Archives for Chargelet Archon, or if he's more of a disruptive kind of player.
That is the question. I love this just because it shows that ZAiN isn't a one-trick pony. Like, he isn't someone that has to go Skytoss every game, right? That's not something that he relies on. And there we go. As you said, it is going to be Charge coming out from ZAiN. And I kind of like this just because, like, I'm sure Crimson is a lot more comfortable against a ground-based Protoss.
Yeah, it's what he's definitely a lot more used to compared to this Void Ray carrier style of PvZ. But at the same time, you never want to underestimate just how potent Charged Archon can hit, especially when you're going Hydraling Bane like Crimson is. That's the glass cannon of glass cannon Zerg armies up against a Protoss army that can take it out before you can really react.
Yeah, it's going to be on the control of both players, right? It's going to be on how the charge is utilized, and it's going to be on whether Crimson can get those juicy Baneley connections on the charge lots, right? Because, as you're alluding to, if those charge lots get on top of the Hydras, mate, it's over.
Yeah, but if there's enough Banelings to buffer, and if ZAiN doesn't have a tight enough leash on those chargelets, they're just going to be running into their demise.
Exactly. Oh my god. Meanwhile, Crimson, he's just continuing to work on his army. Pretty interesting that he hasn't thrown down the Lurker Den yet. I mean, you don't want to be too greedy taking up too much, but I hope we do see it at some point. Meanwhile, ZAiN, he's pushing out across the map. He does have his War Prism to reinforce.
Yeah, +1 finish very shortly before this. No Banelings just yet!
No Banelings! Oh my god, the army is pushing on forward. We see a massive warp-in of Zealots, and Crimson was not ready for this.
Not at all! These charges are getting right on top of these Hydras, pinning them to a corner. The Archons don't even need to be present to take them out.
It feels bad, man. Like, Baneling's speed is about to finish up. There are no Lings, and there are no Lings in production. Like, Banelings aren't going to be a thing at all here. Oh god.
Crimson prioritizing the Hydras just a little bit too much here.
Yeah, finally 20 Lings are on the way, but it is too little too late. All the Hydras are falling to this Charge Lot Archon. More Zealots are being warped in, and I think Crimson's been broken. There it is.
Gonna be it. Good game, well played. Good luck for Peppy, and ZAiN takes it all the way to the qualifier. Going up against a very different Zerg player, but that was just clean.
Oof, yeah, GG. Unfortunately,
Yeah. My monologue went on a little bit longer than I thought it would. The closing statements went on a little bit longer than I thought.
It's all good. It's all good, man. But yeah. Unfortunately, Crimson, he didn't see the push coming. He had all the tech that he needed, right? Like Banelings and Hydras, like that would have been great. Even I believe he had a Roach Horn as well, even though he didn't make any roaches. I could be wrong there. But unfortunately,
he did have a Roach Horn, but
yeah, he didn't have any Lings ready, didn't have any Banelings, and yeah, Zealous, they love going up against pure Hydra, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to double check, but I don't believe Crimson saw the Twilight Council. Because I don't remember an Overlord or anything going deep in. He may have just been anticipating another Sky Toss army coming out from Crimson or from ZAiN, sorry, and that's why he was really prioritizing getting those Hydras out, getting those Hydra upgrades instead of the Ling Bane. But then ZAiN came in with a very potent ground army, and there wasn't a lot Crimson could do from then on.
Ooh, exactly.
And with that, we have our first qualifier.